Welcome back to National Report. Georgia's Senate race between Herschel Walker and incumbent Raphael Warnock still too close to call. Ballots being counted as we speak. Our national correspondent Mike Carter is live for us in Atlanta with the details. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, guys. Well, Herschel Walker will be the first to tell you that playing on a great team is all about peaking at the right time. The Walker camp hoping to do that last night. Now it appears that we may be heading into overtime in this race for Senate here in the Peach State. I want to start with the governor's race, though, first. Last night, a much clearer and more decisive victory for the current governor of the state, Brian Kemp. His second victory in 4 years over Stacey Abrams. One of the reasons Stacey Abrams wasn't able to get over the hump for the second time, black men underperforming even her 28 totals for Brian Kemp. So right now we have a clear winner in the governor's race, but back to the Senate with Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. One of the reasons why you're seeing both of these totals right around the 49% mark, keep in mind, in order to win a statewide race here in Georgia, a candidate must get over the 50% mark, the majority of the vote. Right now, neither of those candidates has been able to do so. One of the reasons for that is a third-party candidate, Chase Oliver. You ask yourself, all right, if this does go to a runoff next month, where will those votes come from for both Warnock and for Walker, and who is likely to garner the majority of those third-party votes? Right now, about 80,000 votes, or 2% of the vote, is going to Chase Oliver. He's a libertarian, former Democrat, defund the police advocate, open borders advocate, and someone who has in the past said he likes the idea of no cash bail. He says he's more progressive on criminal justice reform than even Kamala Harris. So if you read the tea leaves there, it does appear that folks who maybe would be more likely inclined to vote for a Democrat maybe voted for Chase Oliver. Of course, that's just speculation for right now. Last night, Herschel Walker came to the podium, anyways, to talk about the state of this race.
Hey, we're in a fight, are we not? We're in a fight. But hey, God is a good God, is he not? Yeah. And he put us here for a reason. And we're here to win this election, are we not?
And a election runoff, if it does take place, will happen on December 6th. A lot of anticipation for this Senate race, not just here in the Peach State, but across the country. Guys?
All right, Mike Carter there live in Atlanta in the Peach State there. Again, a major Senate race to watch. But it's not just that. There are a few others. Mike, thank you. Doug Collins joining us now. He's a former Georgia Congressman to talk about this. Who would know the Peach State better than Doug? So good to have you here. Let's just have a frank conversation, candidly. What's happening here in Georgia? If you want to start with the governor's race there, Kemp, again, facing off against Stacey Abrams for the second time, winning for the second time. Yet again, there are the numbers there on your screen.
Yeah. It is. I think the interesting thing is it's interesting that Abrams did concede this time. So at least we got one of these conceded. Look, this is a continuation of what we saw in May in the primaries. The candidates who the Kemp side of the spectrum, if you would, against what was the Trump spectrum. You saw it back in May. Those are still doing the best. You see this, and you're really seeing it, and I was explaining this earlier. You're seeing Georgians actually went down the ballot and picked. Here's what I mean by that. Walker is 1.9 million votes. Kemp, 2.1 million. Burt Jones, Lieutenant Governor, again with Walker and the Trump endorsement, 1.9 million. Every other statewide race Republican, 2.0 or a little bit more than a million. 52 to 54%. Burt Jones was 51. Walker's below 50. This is a continuation of what you saw. I disagree a little bit. I appreciate your reporter. I disagree completely on the Libertarian in this race. Irrelevant. Nobody knows who he is. The first time I ever heard his views was this morning, 20 seconds ago, when your reporter said, "Oh, this is who he was." Nobody knew. He was the outlet for people to vote. Either they didn't like Walker or they didn't like Warnock, and they just didn't want to leave that that race blank. They went to him in that race. So this is going to be interesting to see now. Where do these voters that went to Kemp and these others come back to in a runoff that Walker's got to have to win this?
And do they show up? Right? Are
question.
people tired of it at this point? We've been talking about the midterms for the past 2 years now. We hear rumors of 2024 already. Is it time for a break, or will they show up?
I'm hoping they'll show up, because this is what exactly happened in Georgia on January 5th, 2021. We had Republicans who decided to protest. The reason you have two Democratic senators right now currently from Georgia is because the Republicans didn't show up in districts like the 14th, the 9th, and the 8th, where they had double-digit did not show up on January 5th. I've been screaming about this for the last 2 years. Thank you to all those Republicans in Georgia who didn't show up for my tax increase and for what we're doing in Biden, because one of those races could have went to either David Perdue or Kelly Loeffler, David Perdue in particular, and it didn't happen because we didn't show back up. Walker has got to get out. And Kemp, I think, which has been interesting, Kemp and Walker never campaigned together this fall, and which is sort of unusual.
Will we see them together?
Now, this will be the question. Will Kemp come on board as part of the Republican ticket to help Walker get across?
You're going to have to change. You're going to have to come up with a strategy there, especially if there's, a little bit of mix of Nevada, Arizona. You're going to need Georgia.
Yes.
I wanted to get to Brad Raffensperger if we can, the Secretary of State there. In his race, we were paying attention to that one as well. And I believe we have the results up to show the viewers here what exactly happened there in Georgia. We were monitoring, obviously, the gubernatorial race and then also the Senate race as well. So there it is. Raffensperger handily winning here. Your thoughts on that?
Right. Again, second highest vote getter in Georgia. Again, going back to all of the problems that came out of went on and the names that were out there. Kemp, Raffensperger, you heard these. Was complained about by President Trump from the last election. All of this went into the primaries in which they both won handily. Brad Raffensperger, if you just are pure politics, no matter what side you're on, you just look at it just like you do a blind, ran the best two campaigns with this one, the primary, to win after he was as low as 20% in the polls a year ago.
Wow.
He came back, but he did something that I think all candidates ought to take note of. He went to places that absolutely despised him after the last election. He would go into rooms up in my old district, up in the North Georgia area, where you would have 100 people who just thought he was evil in many ways, and he answered every question for 45 minutes to an hour. After they left, they weren't agreeing with him. But it's hard to be mad at somebody who sits there and answers your questions and legitimately says, this is what I believe happened. That's how he overcame in the primary. That's how he related. And Democrats actually still crossed over a good deal to vote for Raffensperger. Win, she never had a chance. She was one of the better, quote, Democrats they had, and she had no chance.
Raffensperger's going to keep his job. Brian Kemp keeps his job, too. Big question is what's going to happen in the Senate. We might have to have you back just ahead of December. Doug Collins, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
It's always good to see y'all.
Thank you.